So you guys, I just don't even know what we're gonna do about the sorting party. I feel like scheduling it in the Google Docs is not really working, and I just don't know what else to do. Nella can't make it this weekend, so the 7th probably is not gonna work. I mean, I would say maybe next weekend, because weekends seem to be the easiest time for everybody except for this weekend when Nella has exams. But next weekend is Alicia's birthday party, so I don't know. You guys, I don't know. Somebody please come up with an idea that's better than the ideas I've had, because they suck. So I didn't have anything really in mind that I was going to talk about in my video today. I was feeling really uninspired. I'm like really tired. I've had a long week. I wasn't feeling particularly inspired. I wasn't feeling particularly with it. I couldn't really think of anything to talk about. But I read this article this morning about how our brains process mistakes and how that affects the way that we learn. Link in the doobly-doo. And at one point in the article, there's a bit about this group of 5th graders and whether they chose a more difficult test or an easier test that was similar to one they'd already done, based on whether they'd just been praised as hard workers or as smart. And this is where what I'm talking about completely diverges from the rest of the article. I started thinking about my own school experiences and what school was like for me, particularly after a certain age. I told you guys how I changed schools in the middle of 4th grade and how I went from the school with the unusual learning program to the regular, ordinary public school system. And the thing is, I discovered very early on after I changed schools that instead of being a place where I was supposed to be actively learning things and absorbing as much knowledge as I could, suddenly I was in this place where it was about being given a set of points, not even learning them, but just taking them in and sort of holding on to them for a given length of time and then giving them back in the form of a test. And so I started thinking about the way that they gave kids these tests in the articles and whether I would have chosen the difficult test or the easy test. And I realized that there's a distinct possibility that depending on the atmosphere in which they presented these tests to me, I might have chosen the easy test, despite the fact that I would have preferred the difficult test because it would have been the interesting one. If I had felt like I was in a school environment where I was supposed to be doing school things, I would have chosen the easy test based on the fact that I would have felt like that's what I was supposed to do. I would have felt like this is the school test. You're given the stuff to do and you do it and you give it back. You produce the same result as everybody else in a way that can be replicated. As opposed to, here's the interesting test that you get to go mess around with. That's the one you actually want to do because it's interesting. That's the puzzle I would have taken to mess around with in my free time, or someplace where I felt like I wasn't required to do a certain thing that was expected of me. And it makes me sad now to think that I would have chosen the easy test because I felt like I had to. Not because it was the test I wanted to do, not because it was the puzzle I wanted to look at, but because I would have felt like it was what I was supposed to do because that's what they expected of me and it's what they wanted of me. I don't like that. I don't like that idea at all. It makes me sad. I feel sometimes like I'm really susceptible to that, to behaving in the way that I'm supposed to behave, or the way that I think I'm supposed to behave, the way I think I'm expected to behave, and that kind of sucks. I think that just being aware of it helps. It also helps that I'm not in school anymore and I can learn whatever I want whenever I want. That improves things immensely.